Mike Williams is done for the year. The Hydras Region are back on top of the power rankings in the Redraft League, and we only have 2 teams left undefeated in the APFL. All of this and more in 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real broadcast, sponsored by Nature Coast Tailgating and Apparel, the official apparel of the FSA. So a couple of people were like, where's the link? How do I watch it? I didn't put the link out there today. I figure at this point, you all should have subscribed and turned the alerts on so it would let you know an hour ahead of time whenever we are going to go live. So if you haven't done that yet, as soon as the show is over, make sure you do that. Go out and subscribe and then turn on the alerts so you'll know when we are going to be online. I see 6 people out there right now. If you're out there, make sure that you comment. I did no alerts. That's interesting because I always do it 1 hour prior to. Maybe it is a thing on StreamYard not pushing, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case because it's happened for other people before. Biz says he's in as well too. Good. I might have started the show a couple seconds late because I was trying to get the link over there because I needed to make sure GP and a couple other people got in. So, hey, how is everybody in your Wednesday night, your hump day night? Hope you all had a great day tonight. It could be a YouTube thing too as well. After we get done doing this, go over there and check it out and see if the alerts are actually on, and then check a couple other settings too. Maybe you blocked me, man, and you don't even know it. So tonight's agenda, we're going to do NFL news. We're going to do the redraft games of the week. We're going to do the redraft power rankings, games of the week of the APFL power rankings. And that's pretty much it for tonight. We don't have any real crazy miscellaneous news like we had last week or anything like that. So that will be the show. Pretty cut and dry. A lot of stats to throw out you from this past week. But the first thing we want to talk about is the NFL news. So Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams' 2023 season is done. He had an MRI on his left knee, confirmed that he tore his ACL. So he is ending the season with 19 catches on 26 targets, 249 yards, and a touchdown. KB, I see you out there. How are you? I'll see you in, I don't know. I can't do the math right now. I'll see you in about 8 weeks, I guess it is, 7 weeks. So I'll be up here in Ohio. We'll get ready for that great wedding. All right, let's get over to these games of the week in the redraft. Let me shrink myself first, and let's get over here and do this. So games of the week in the redraft are going to start in the Banshees region. So the margin of victory game of the week took place between Jamie Delarier. Jamie, I hope I'm saying that every week that I have to say that. I'm always questioning, make sure that I'm saying it right. And the Werebears, Jamie got the win by 2.56 points. Also, we have to recognize Sean Edick out there for getting his first ever FSA win by scoring the most points in the Banshees region with 202 points. It's definitely going to be something. I'm sure there will be fun draped in there as well. Let's move on to let's look at the standings in the Banshees region first. You got 2 teams that are 3-0, and you got 1 team, the Werebears, that just got beat by Jamie at 0-3. Moving over to the Black Dragons region, we got Jordan Sulcer earning his second win of the season with a close matchup against Marcus Johnson. Jordan getting the win by 2.84 points. And then the Power Claws dominated the Carolina Nation with a final score of 205 to 137, which was the 205 was the highest points total in the Black Dragons region this week. Here's your standings right now. Nobody undefeated and nobody without a win in the Black Dragons region. So that's pretty cool. Sean, I had to throw it out there for you, man. Yeah, you finally got your first one. Congratulations. All right. Let's move over to the Gold Dragons region, where the margin of victory game of the week for the Gold Dragons region took place between Totally Turtley and Chris Allen. Ty and the Turtles got the win by 2.9 points. And the Lumiere were the top point scorer for the Gold Dragons with 206. Here are your standings. right now. I'll make sure I get your comment off the screen there, Sean. There are your standings right now. We have one team, the New York Jackets, which GP, I think you're out there right now at 3-0. And then we got Chris Allen, who you brought in for us this year, sitting at 0-3. To the Hydras region, no real close games in the Hydras region. However, we do have to highlight the Creek Browns and getting their win this week, taking them to 3-0. And as you will find out here shortly, putting them at the top of this week's power rankings in the redraft. Here are your standings right now in the region, showing the Creek Browns up at the top. And then this one's crazy in the Scorpions region. How would you like to be the team that puts up 200 points, which would have beat anybody else that you played in your region, except for the guy you end up playing? Brian Ware ends up defeating the Panthers 211-200. And then we also had a margin of victory game of the weekend here too, where the Rock and Rollers beat the Aviators. Josh Cooper and the Rock and Rollers get the narrow victory by just 0.34 points. GP says, how about them Jackets? Well, we're going to talk about them Jackets here in a little bit. So yeah, how about them Jackets? Here is your standings right now in the Scorpions region. Brian, we're at the top at 3-0. And then let's move over to our final region, which is the Lynx. And the highlight here is Cheesehead David Winship defeating the Maniac Matt Kroll. Final score there was 181-178. David getting the win by 3.48 points. There is your standings right now for the Lynx region. Before we move over to the power rankings, what did Chris say? Wait, we had it out. Yeah, man. So you missed last week's show. So not to put the dirt back out there again, because we did a whole show on it last week. But let me pull this back up so y'all can see my face as we talk through this. So Chris, you weren't there. Is your thing up there? Yeah. Let me pull you your comment down real quick. So the dirt from last week was, I realized as I was playing a team last week that his IDP points weren't adding up the way that they should have. And I was like, well, maybe it's just MFL being behind. So I waited until the morning and I checked and the points were still wrong. So I went and looked at the settings, and what we had written in the rules of the 0.04 points per passing yard and the 0.1 per rushing and receiving yard didn't get translated over correctly. It still said 1 point for every 25 yards. So you had to reach that 25 threshold, and 1 point for every 10 yards. So you need to reach that 10-yard threshold. So went in and I fixed it. I let everybody know. OVC out there in the house, it's all right, you're late, but you ain't missing anything. You wanted to see what the power rankings look like, and they're getting ready to come up. We're taking this long pause explaining what happened with the points. Chris joining us this week, not last week, and wanted to know about this tie that we had. So talked to Matt about it. Matt said, put a quick video out there, let everybody know what you're about to do. He talked to me off the ledge because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Wanted to make sure that we were strict to our rules, because you know how I feel about that. So I went through and I added that to the way it was supposed to be correctly, the 0.04 for the passing and the 0.1 for the rushing and receiving. And it affected 3 games. It affected 2 in week 1 and then 1 last week. And one of the games in week 1 that it affected, the difference in the original scoring had one of the teams winning by 1 point. And whenever it got fixed, crazy as it is, having 15 starters and carrying it all the way out to the 100th of a decimal point, we end up with a freaking tie in week 1. And that's why you see that that's on there. Let me shrink my face here again. Let's get over to these power rankings. So OVC, I know you're out there wanting to know where you were at. You dropped to number 5 this week, but I am going to go through each one of these in the top 10. We're going to talk about those that this is the first time on the board and those that fell off the board coming into this week. So the Great Lakes Hydras are back on top in the number 1 spot. We mentioned this just a little bit ago when we were talking about the Hydras region. Creek Dogs lead the power rankings over the New York Jackets. GP, there you are again. The Creek Dogs lead is just by 0.021 points. And actually, you, GP, the New York Jackets, and Brian Ware are tied with the same power ranking. However, when I created this template, I didn't think about ties. So it shows 1, 2, 3 up there, and it really should be 1, 2, 2. So you and Brian Ware are actually tied for second place right now. Let's see who we got on here. How on earth is that team 12th? Oh man, get out of here. And we'll talk about that team in 12th in just a second. Man, you be killing me tonight. Creek Dogs moved up 1 spot from number 2 to number 1. New York Jackets rose from 7 to 2. Ware moved up from number 9. Bearcats jumped up 4 spots from 8 to 4. The OVC Espresso Men slid from the number 1 spot last week down to number 5. Horny Toads dropped 1 spot from 5 to 6. Wildcats moved up 3 spots from 10 to 7. Jason Trumbley went from 12 to 8. Adam Vial slid down 5 spots from 4 to 9 and rounding out the top 10. And finally getting his logo on the screen for the first time this week, Eric Slatkin rose 7 spots from 17 all the way to 10. New to the list this week, Lucky Ass Ferg sitting in 14th, Jerry Jones in 15th, Jamie in 17th. Jamie, I'm not going to mess up your last name, so I'm not saying it. Naughty Dogs 18, Group 19, and Mitch LaFlame in 20th, all new to the list. Jason Hazlett and the Cavalry find their way back onto the list after being number 1 in week 1, not even on the list in week 2, but finding the 21st spot here in week 3. Unicorn Legends in number 22, first time on the board. Lumbermen and Jordan Solser wrap up the last 2 spots in 24 and 25. Teams that fell off the board this week: Mike Catania, the Lunatics, Garbage Points, Laura, the Music City Miracles, Ray Finkel's Dream, the Koalas, Chaos, James Hargraves, and Carolina Nation all falling off the list. And dang, who is in the number 12 spot? And we're only talking about the number 10. Well, Chris called me out, so I got to do it. So I was sitting, I think, 6th last week, Chris, 6th or 7th, and got a tough loss this week and dropped it to number 12. It's an underdog story for the Dragons, GP says. You were, I think, there in week 1, and I can't remember if you were there for week 2, but I definitely know I don't see you up there for week 3. So now that we've got through the power rankings, you pull me back up for just a little bit and we'll do a little bit of talking. According to MFL, the game of the week this upcoming week is going to take place in the Gold Dragons region between the number 2 ranked New York Jackets and the number 18 ranked Naughty Dogs. Right now, the Jackets are favored by 13 points and some change. So we'll have to see if they do any lineup changes before this weekend's games. So I have a question for you all. Message here or message me on Discord because I have it open on the other screen as well. How many teams are undefeated? We have to go back through the standings real quick and look at it. I think every region has at least 1 except for the Black Dragons region. So there's at least 5, and I know there's a couple of them that have 2. So once we get done, go back through, watch the show real quick, fast forward through that part, and you'll be able to see all the standings that are in there, and you'll be able to see how many teams are undefeated. So would you guys, and again, comment here or comment on Discord right now while we're talking about it. Would you like to see the power rankings published before the show? And I know what the answer is going to be, but I have 2 concerns with that. First is a concern. Second one might be a good thing. If I publish the power rankings in the chat room on Discord, are you all going to not come to the show to see the power rankings? I need you, the 9 of you that are out there now, to stay consistent and come every week for me. If I put the power rankings out there ahead of time, are you going to come to the show? You can't see them on MFL. My team isn't even listed. What are you talking about for the standings? They're there. You just don't know that they're there. You must be in the wrong spot. Are you talking about the ranks next to the team names, which is another concern? So I have not been putting the ranks next to your team names yet this season. For the top 25, would you like to see that in the standings? Let's see. Man, you guys are all talking. I don't know how I'm missing this. Chico is giving me high five. I'm not sure if that means yes, you want to see them early. KB says he's not opposed to it either way. GP says, now we love you too much and not comes to that baby face. It is a nice baby face, right? I appreciate it. The power rankings. So the power rankings are not listed on MFL as far as the rank goes next to you guys in the column that is marked rank in the standings. I think it's still there. I don't think I took it off. There is a way to look at power rankings on MFL. You have to go under, I think it's like scores or standings, and you look in power rankings. But the power rankings you're going to see there's like 3 or 4 different ways to look at it. There is not the same way that we calculate the power rankings here, because the way we calculate the power rankings here is your all play record, that win-loss percentage that's there, the percentage itself, and we multiply it by the number of wins. And that's how we're getting the number for the power rankings in both the redraft and the APFL, in case you didn't know. OVC says, nah, keep it here, but post it in there like Thursday. So here's what I'm thinking about doing. And here's why I said, if you guys wanted to go early with it, this was my other concern. It's not really a concern. It could be a good thing. It used to be, I would get the power rankings done, and I either took a screenshot of it, and this is back when we were on GroupMe. I would post, I think it was GroupMe was the name of the app. I would post it in GroupMe, or I'd post it on Discord, just a screenshot of it. But now we're doing the graphic with it. I can publish it. What I would try to do then is make sure that every Tuesday by noon, I have that published. That was always my hack. My time hack before was noon on Tuesdays. And my hope in that, if you guys wanted to go that way instead of waiting to hear, is that it would get us doing some shit talking over on Discord, which is a good thing, because as much as it still hasn't happened yet for all of those that came over and joined us from the Meathead League, you guys love WhatsApp so much. I would love all of the conversations that's taken place on WhatsApp to move over here onto Discord. And I thought maybe that would be a way to spark up some more conversation on Discord, because it's just not happening as much as I would like. And then that same graphic can still be used on the show for anybody who for some reason isn't paying close attention to Discord or whatever. I'm still going to talk about it on the show anyways. So let me know. It seems like everybody's kind of indifferent. They're not really sure. It doesn't really matter. So what I might just do is I might just throw it out there next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I won't be able to get it up there in a real timely manner. But you all are so friendly as well. So I know it's tough to change you guys. That's funny. I know it's tough to change you guys, but you're all so friendly. I say all of that and say, hey, let's do this next Tuesday and publish it. But next Tuesday is actually my 1-month follow-up from the heart surgery. So I can't even remember what time my appointment is. I just know that it's a 3-hour drive up there, then the length of the appointment, and 3-hour drive back. So my Tuesday is going to be a little bit off from normal. So maybe they still just get thrown on the show next Wednesday. And I know I'm just kind of blabbing and not saying much of anything right now, but we'll play it by ear. Let me know here. Let me know there. Either way, as soon as we get done with the show tonight, I'll throw it up on the Redraft channel. Same graphics so you all can see it. So it'll be there. Maybe the shit talking can start then. All right, so let's get to these APFL games of the week. So I decided to do something a little bit different with the APFL this week. Instead of doing an individual graphic for each one of the games, I decided to use the scoreboard just like I built for all of the regions. And we're going to go through and highlight a couple of games here. So this week in the APFL were all strength of schedule games. There was no in-division play this week, but all of your strength of schedule games were inside your own conference. Some crazy things happened this week. The entire AFC East defeated all the AFC South teams. But the two big highlights to talk about is the Cleveland Dogs winning their game and being one of only 2 teams in the APFL left undefeated, since OVC was asking about undefeated teams. And I know you're really referencing the redraft, but there you are in the APFL, one of 2 teams that's left. And then the other big talk of the town, because I know Ringgold is still out there, at least I hope he's still out there. The Blackbirds taking down the Denver Mustangs was a huge deal for all of us as well, too. Chris says, heart surgery. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Is Cooper Kupp out for the season? No, I'm hearing that Kupp could be back as early as week 5 is what I'm hearing. Chris says that you must be referencing the APFL as the real stuff. GP says, let's not talk about the APFL. Yeah, you didn't have a very good week. You were one of those AFC South teams that end up getting beat. Your team is trash. I don't believe that your team is trash. I think you're just having a rough go at it right now with injuries and stuff like that. And I hope that is a wink coming from you. because that is awesome. And GP says, I can't wait to play him. I'm guessing you're talking probably about Denver. I think everybody's got Denver on their radar this year for sure. So let's move over to the NFC teams. So they also had their strength of schedule games this week. And just like it was in the AFC, we had an entire division. The NFC North beat all of the NFC South teams this week. And the highlight here is the Minnesota Norsemen getting their win, pushing them to 3-0. And they're the other team inside the APFL that's undefeated. So we got one in each one of the conferences. 41 and 49, some low scores out there. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up as well. We've got one here too, 51 in this one. I want to go out and look as I was going through some of the box scores. I need to reach out to at least one general manager. I think the other two had some bad luck, but I think there's one general manager that might not have paid attention to his lineup this week because he kept one guy in there that we all knew was definitely out. So I'm going to reach out to him because I don't want anybody to get any free easy wins. So I will be reaching out shortly for that. So let's move on to the APFL power rankings. So Cleveland Dogs still in first, and they are just increasing that lead. So the power ranking for them in first place over now the Minnesota Norsemen is 0.225 points. So the upcoming schedule for the APFL, here is the AFC side as we are back into in-division play. And this will satisfy our first round of all of our in-division play, as now we would have played each one of the other three teams inside our divisions by the end of week 4 for the first time, just in time for us to get ready for the buys that are going to start in week 5. And then here is the schedule for the NFC side. And according to MFL, the game of the week is coming to us from the NFC side. It's going to be the Minnesota Norsemen versus the Chicago Monsters. Right now, with the current lineups, Minnesota is favored by 94-90. Let's see what we got out here. What is this? What was the no for? Because we're back into the final week of play. Let's see. Who do you got? Let me scroll back up one slide here since you're yelling a big no. Oh, you got the Dogs this week. Now I know why you're saying no to it. Yeah, that could be a rough game for you. I think that's going to be a rough game for everybody in the AFC this year. He had a great team last year. I think he just built on that team this year too. He just got a phenomenal team. And as he said, I think in the chat yesterday, as he was talking shit to Denver, he said that, oh, good, you've got the second best team in the AFC, because he already knows he's probably got the best team in the AFC. So let's see. I think that's it for the reviews. Chris says the Raptors are going to be back-to-back champs. Don't worry about it. It's locked in. Now, I will say that, remember, there was a time when we were trying to get preseason polls done. Kevin did great work for me, or just for the league, not just for me. He did it for all of us to try to get people to vote for who they thought was going to finish in certain places. And I think we only had like 2 or 3 people. What we did was the AFC side voted for the NFC side. The NFC side voted for the AFC side. So there was no bias inside your own conference. And I think I was one of the 2 or 3 in the AFC that did the NFC side votes. And Chris, I did have you winning the NFC side, and I think maybe I even had you as the champion again this year as well. So because I've said it, it's probably not going to happen, because things don't always happen the way I say it. But, you know, you go ahead and wish it into existence, and let's see if we can get you to ride off into the sunset with a back-to-back championship. So that's the review. Let's get into this upcoming week's stuff in week 4. So let's review primetime results for us from last week. So we went 3-1 last week. We got the Steelers and the Raiders game wrong. I originally said that I thought the Raiders were going to win. Steelers ended up getting that win. So it puts us 8-3 on the season in primetime games. That is definitely the curse of the commish. Let's hope so. OVC says it's scripted just like the NFL. Well, it's funny you say that too, because and I know OVC has talked to me already. Don't tell anybody. We know OVC has already said that he would like to come in and join the APFL next year. And I know that we're going to lose 2 general managers. And I think, Chris, your team has already spoken for if Ozzie Brett is still coming on board to grab your team. And then the other team that's going to exit, I think OVC is probably going to take over. He's on the short list that only includes him so far for the other team. So the only thing that would keep you from not getting that team was if that team decided to return for some reason. So us being 3-1 last week now puts us 8-3 in primetime games. So let's talk about the primetime games for week 4. So on Thursday night, we got Detroit at Green Bay. Detroit is favored by 1.5 as of this afternoon, which surprises me. But it's in Green Bay. I can't see the Packers losing to Detroit. And I got to have the hat for Thursday night football. We're going with the Packers for Thursday night. I might be selling my team for draft picks. And then, Chris, great reminder, because I'm getting ready to get there. That was the very next bullet point that I have on the script. Thank you for that. So don't forget, we have our first international series games this week, or game this week. It's going to be the Falcons at the Jaguars. Jaguars being the home team. Kickoff will be Sunday morning at 9:30 East Coast time. So don't forget, if you're one of those people that like to wait until the last second to set your lineups and you've got nobody playing on Thursday, but you might have anybody from the Falcons or the Jags playing, make sure you get your lineup in early, because kickoff is at 9:30 East Coast time. Yeah, so we got 3 straight weeks in the UK. Let's see where I didn't even write down which stadium that they're playing in for the one this weekend. Are they in Wembley this weekend? Let me know. And then, since, Chris, you're there across the pond and you know all things, let us know where we're at for the next 3 weeks. Okay. So it's not in Wembley this week. Okay. Okay, we'll have to look in that. You know what? In fact, I'll look that up and I'll put it in the chat room as well to remind everybody, for those that didn't come on the show tonight, in case they didn't know. And I know you put it in the chat yesterday, I think it was, but that doesn't mean everybody pays attention to that either. Apologies for putting it in the chat. Oh, okay, so it is Wembley this week. Okay. Your messages came in jumbled up on my side. So it is Wembley this week, and then the next 2. Okay. Gotcha. Showing the game. Oh, the Toy Story thing. Okay. That's what you were talking about. Yeah. I'm actually curious to roll over, since I have Disney Plus, to see what this at least looks like for a couple of seconds. Cheesehead in the house. What's going on, Damien? I'm actually curious to roll over to Disney Plus and watch it for a little bit and see how it goes. I'm sure my girls they sit down and usually watch a quarter of football with me on Sundays anyways. This might be a way to get them to sit down and watch almost an entire game with me if this turns out good enough. I just hope that it works out the way the NFL wants. And if it does, that could be a huge thing for the younger audience. All right, let's keep going with these games of the week. So we got Sunday night football. It's Kansas City at the New York Jets. Now, this is going to be weird, but as I say this in a little bit. So I think this game was scheduled when it was going to be a bigger deal, because Aaron Rodgers was with the New York Jets and now he's hurt, and stuff like that. So the Sunday night game between Kansas City and the Jets isn't that big of a deal. As of this afternoon, Kansas City favored by 9.5, and I would take Kansas City in this matchup all day. I thought you might like that. I'm glad you came on just as it went on. In fact, as I'm sliding it on my head, I'm thinking, man, I wish Damien was here right now to see this. It's funny. A lot of the guys that moved over with us from the Meathead League are Green Bay fans. I can count, I think, at least 3 of them that are. So hopefully they appreciate this as well. So here's the crazy part. So you've got the Sunday night game between Kansas City and the Jets at MetLife Stadium, Jets being the home team. And then Monday night, the very next night, you've got the Giants playing on Monday night against the Seahawks. So Giants are hosting the Seahawks in the same MetLife Stadium. So they're going to have to convert everything over from Jets to Giants as far as branding goes for the very next night. Right now, the line is even between these two teams. At least it was at lunchtime. Chris, if I'm ever doing these lines and I'm way out, because you're the expert in this area as well, let me know how much these might have changed from this afternoon. But as of this afternoon, this line was even between the Seahawks and the Giants, and I am going GP. I am sorry, but I'm taking Seattle on this one all day. And we only have the one Monday night game this week. So just 3 games in the prime time for us to try to get right going into in and out of week 4. So that's it. Next broadcast will be next Wednesday, 4 October at 8:30 p.m. I'll go back to say what I was saying about the power rankings. You know, I got you all hyped up. Is it really a 50-50 matchup? That really blows my mind. Hey, other Damien, what's going on, man? Hey, thank you for all the likes that you're giving me on TikTok right now. I appreciate it. Don't think that I don't see it. Every like that comes through, I look at. If anybody's viewed my profile, I go and look at that as well. I try to converse with anybody. In fact, I do converse with anybody unless you're a complete a-hole to me on TikTok. And I do notice that you do it every single day, so I appreciate you, man. And it really blows my mind that the Seattle and the Giants is a 50-50 matchup right now. That's crazy to me. I would think Seattle would be favored by at least a field goal. So we will be back. I got you all hyped up about the power rankings and stuff like that, about trying to get them released on Tuesday. And then I remember I've got my follow-up for the surgery on Tuesday, so it might mess everything up for that week. And then we go into the following weekend just to kind of give you a little foreshadowing of what life looks like for the month of October for me. We get through what is Columbus Day here in the States the following weekend. As far as Army goes, I think we have Friday, Monday off, but the kids from school have Monday, Tuesday off. So I'm going to stay through until Tuesday to hang out with them, make sure I get to spend time with the kids. And then if I get a clean bill of health and I'm allowed to travel, which shouldn't be that big of a deal because I've already traveled up for, the funeral and stuff like that. And now I've had another couple of weeks to recover. Going up to Ohio for almost the rest of the month of October. So right after Columbus Day weekend until just a day or so before Halloween, so I can come back and spend Halloween with the kids. I'm going to go up there and try to help my sister get some of my dad's affairs in order and stuff like that. So I don't know what that's going to mean for the show. The internet connection at either one of my parents' house isn't the greatest. My laptop that I usually carry around with me when I travel is starting to shit the bed. So what the show is going to look like for the month of October has got a lot of question marks around it right now. So I will do everything in my power to make sure that the show still goes on. I will do everything in my power to make sure that we still get our power rankings and stuff like that. But if things are a little slow, things are a little delayed, or things are skipped a little bit, please bear with me as I'm going up there to take care of family stuff, and I appreciate you. I also appreciate our sponsors, to Mondo and the Boys, the Recast, the official music of FSA, and to Brandon Valinka, the owner and operator of Nature Coast Tailgating and Apparel, the official apparel of the FSA. Yeah, I know, and I appreciate this too. I appreciate the sentiment. For those that have been around for a while, know how passionate I am about this hobby turned business, turned back hobby again. I don't want to let you all down. You guys pay a lot of money for this. I consider this entertainment dollars that you could be using to go to the movies or out to dinner or something like that. So I want to make it worth your time and your money, which is why I do this show every week, even if it's only to 9 of you. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do it any chance I can, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability always. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the sponsors. Again, because a couple of people asked, where can I find the show? And I waited to the last second to put the link up there. Go over on YouTube, type in Fantasy Sports Alliance. I think it's the one now that has 130 subscribers on it. There's still an old one that's out there that's got a couple on them. Make sure you do the 131 or whatever it is now. Subscribe to it and then set your alerts on there or your alarms on there, and we'll find out next week if it'll let you all know. But that was my bad, GP, for not putting the link over here for you all like I normally do. In my brain, I'm thinking, okay, they all know live in 65-55. All the times that I put it there, they're going to go over and do their thing. But I know I still got to probably put the link out there. I appreciate you too, man. Thank you for the talk the other day. It helped me out with a lot of stuff Army-wise. Appreciate that. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening of hump day, getting it in right at 35 minutes. Hit me up on Discord if you have any questions, and we will see you next week. You'll have a great night.